Hello, welcome you all. Myself Deepmala Meena, Assistant Professor in Physics, Government College, Kota. In previous videos, we have discussed about the central forces and also the angular momentum conservation, energy conservation. Now, in further, we will go for the Kepler's law and Newton's conclusion for the law, and also general solution under gravitational force means a particle moving under gravitational force, we will find the trajectory of the particle. So now we are going to start with Kepler's law. So what are the Kepler's laws of planetary motion? On the basis of astronomical observations, Kepler discovered laws of planetary motion. What are these laws? First, every planet moves in elliptic orbit and Sun is at focus. Second, area swept out per second by the line joining planet to the Sun is always constant, means half r square d theta upon dt equals to constant, which is we have called in previous section aerial velocity. And third law is the square of the time period of the planet is directly proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis of the orbit. This is t square directly proportional to a cube. As we know that planet move in elliptical orbit. So there are two axes, one is major and second minor axis. So then major axis, uh, when we take semi of the major axis, then its cube proportional to time t square. Now Newton's have some conclusion from Kepler's law, so we will study about it. From the study of planetary motion, it is found that except Mercury and Pluto, all other planets move almost in circular orbit about the Sun. Okay, let me take a planet of mass m is moving in a circular orbit of radius r with the velocity v. So we will write a equals to r, because here we have taken this a is semi-major axis. Okay, and we are taking that orbit is moving in circular orbit as this in the form circular, then this will be become the radius of the circular orbit. So we will take here a equals to r, means semi-major axis equals to radius of the orbit. Okay, so we can write from Kepler's third law. As we know, a Kepler's third law is t square directly proportional to a cube. Here we put t square is proportional to r cube, and this k is the constant of proportionality. So we will write t square equals to k r cube. Okay. Now, if the angular velocity of planet is omega, then what we have, omega equals to 2 pi upon t, or omega square equals to 4 pi square upon t square. So by putting the value of t square, what we get, omega square equals to 4 pi square upon k r cube. So omega will be 2 under root pi upon kr cube, or in both the terms in under root 4 pi upon kr cube. Here this is square, pi square, not single pi, because out of the root it will be 2 pi, but in under root it is pi square. So here is square. So we will write this term omega square equals to 4 pi square kr cube. So omega equals to under root 4 pi, this is square kr cube. Now centripetal force acting on the planet is F equals to m omega square r equals to 4 pi square upon kr cube. 1 r will be cancelled with this and this m. Okay. Hence, on the basis of Kepler's third law, Newton draws the following conclusion. What are the conclusions? Centripetal force acting on the planet is always towards the Sun. Second, this force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from planet to the Sun, means F is proportional to 1 upon r square. This force is directly proportional to the mass of the planet, F directly proportional to m. And fourth, Newton generalized this force and said that this force not only act between the planet and the sun but also acts between any two mass particles. Now we will take general solution under the gravitational interaction, or we will find the body moving under gravitational force, then we will find its trajectory. So for this let we start. Let the central force related to the gravitational interaction is defined in terms of inverse square distance. What is this? Fr equals to minus k upon r square rk, or in the magnitude form we will write Fr equals to minus k upon r square. If we put u equals to 1 upon r, then what we get? Here this will be f 1 upon u and this will be minus k upon u square. Here central force is of attractive nature because we are taking here negative sign. This constant k is positive. This sign shows the force is attractive. Okay. Now the equation of trajectory of body moving under the influence of central force, which we have derived in previous section. What is the equation? d2u d theta 2 plus u equals to minus m j square upon u square f 1 upon u. Okay. So here we will put the value of this. Now by putting the value of f 1 upon u, which is minus k r square, what we get? d2u d theta 2 plus u equals to m k upon j square. Now if we put psi equals to u minus mk upon j square, then if we rearrange this equation in LHS, then RHS will be 0 and u minus mkj square will be a term which we are going to suppose that psi equals to u minus mk upon j square. Then this term will become d2 psi upon d theta 2 plus psi equals to 0, because when we put this term in the psi form, then the differentiation of this term will be 0 and this simple ring becomes d psi upon d theta equals to du upon d theta. So let we have the solution of this equation, because this equation is equivalent to the equation of simple harmonic motion. So for the equation, solution will be psi equals to psi 0 cos theta minus theta 0, where psi 0 and theta 0 are constants and their values and can be determined by the initial condition of motion of body. Now u equals to mk upon j square plus psi, and we are going to put the value of psi. Here we have taken that psi equals to u minus mk upon j square. So u will be psi plus mk j square and the value of psi is this psi 0 cos theta minus theta 0. So u become u equals to mk upon j square plus psi 0 cos theta minus theta 0. Okay. Or we know u equals to 1 upon r. So we will write 1 upon r equals to mk upon j square plus, here we have taken this term common. So in bracket 1 plus this term will be j square upon mk and psi 0 cos theta minus theta 0. From this r becomes j square upon mk square. Reshifting this term, this is 1 upon r form. If we will take this in r form, that this term will be in this form, j square upon mk square, mk upon 1 plus j square psi 0 upon mk cos theta minus theta 0. If we put j square upon mk equals to p and j square psi 0 upon mk equals to epsilon, then this will become r equals to p upon 1 plus epsilon cos theta minus theta 0. Now then what r becomes? R will be p upon 1 plus epsilon cos theta minus theta 0. Now by changing the value of theta, by changing the value of this theta, the value of r changes from minimum to maximum value. How it will change? If we put theta equals to theta 0, if we put theta equals to theta 0, then cos, this will be cos 0 and cos 0 will be 1. So r will be minimum because cos 0 means cos theta maximum equals to 1. So this is in the denominator. So if this denominator will be maximum, means r will be minimum. If we take theta equals to theta 0 plus pi, then r will be maximum because this denominator will be minimum. And when we put theta equals to theta 0 plus 2 pi, the body achieved the same position in the orbit. So this position theta equals to theta 0 called turning point, because of this we are taking the values of r. Now for simplification, if reference frame is rotated such that theta equals to theta 0, then what will be the condition when theta equals to theta 0? R is minimum, and also R will become in the simple form R equals to P upon 1 plus epsilon cos theta. This is an equation of conic section whose focus is at the origin, and eccentricity is epsilon, and distance of directrix from origin is P upon epsilon. Hence, we can say the trajectory of the orbit of the body moving under the influence gravitational interaction is in the form of conic section. This is in the section. Now, we will write this trajectory equation in Cartesian coordinates. We have conic section equation r equals to p 1 plus epsilon cos theta. So, r plus r epsilon cos theta equals to p. In the form of Cartesian to polar coordinates, we have x equals to r cos theta and y equals to r sin theta. So from both these equations, we have x square plus y square equals to r square, and also cos theta equals to x upon r. From this equation, x upon r equals to cos theta. So by putting the value of r here, under root x square plus y square plus cos theta equals to x upon r and r will be cancelled, so we get only epsilon x equals to p. Or we can write this equation x square plus y square under root equals to p minus epsilon x. On squaring both sides and rearranging the terms in same side, we get 1 minus epsilon square x square plus 2p epsilon x plus y square equals to p square. We have squaring this term and also solving, we get this equation. Now we will put some values and conditions of epsilon. Then what will happen and what will be the trajectory of the particle. So if we put epsilon equals to 1, if we put here epsilon equals to 1, then this equation becomes y square equals to minus 2p epsilon x plus y square. No, this is y square is equals to minus 2p epsilon square. This is p square, not y square, because we are taking y square is in this term. So this p square is here. This is by mistake written y square, same situation, but this is not y square, this is p square. So this equation is of parabola. Now we will take second condition in which we are having epsilon is less than 1. So by putting the value of epsilon is less than 1, to solve this equation, we are having some substitution in this. We are adding and subtracting as term epsilon square p square upon 1 minus epsilon square in this equation in both sides, and solve, we get x plus p epsilon 1 minus epsilon square whole square plus y square upon 1 minus epsilon square equals to p square upon 1 minus epsilon square whole square. By adding and subtracting this term and rearranging, we have this. Now if we put x0 equals to p epsilon 1 minus epsilon square, means in this situation and a equals to p upon 1 minus epsilon square in this equation, and b equals to p square p upon 1 minus epsilon square a square. So what we get, x plus x0 whole square plus y square 1 minus epsilon square plus p square 1 minus epsilon. So what we get, x plus x0 square upon a square plus y square upon b square equals to 1. This is the power we are going to substitute these values in this form. So where x0 equals to p epsilon 1 minus epsilon square, a equals to p upon 1 minus epsilon square, and b equals to p upon 1 minus epsilon square half. By putting all these values in this equation and reshifting this equation, we get x plus x0 square upon a square plus y square upon b square equals to 1. This equation is an equation of ellipse whose semi-major axis is a and semi-major minor axis is b. And third substitution is, if epsilon equals to 0, then this equation becomes x square plus y square equals to j square upon km. This is an equation of circle. And if we take epsilon is greater than 1, so the equation will be in the form of this, x minus p epsilon, epsilon square minus 1 whole square, p upon epsilon square minus 1 square, minus y square upon p epsilon square minus 1 whole square equals to 1. This is the equation of hyperbola. Thank you.